Hi everyone, and welcome back to Life Unfiltered with Jax Van Rooyen. I'm so excited to be engaging with you guys in this episode today. One of the things that has come up often in my performance coaching with sales leaders specifically, so senior leaders, but specifically sales leaders, is that they are struggling to keep their sales teams motivated and motivated specifically during tougher seasons. The reality is, regardless of how excited we are about what the year is going to bring, and I do, guys, believe that this is the year of harvesting from all of our efforts. Like, I really have that sense. I'm walking with a sense of anticipation and expectation this year. The reality is, from a macroeconomic level, there is a lot of pressure on finances. There is organizations, individuals are experiencing financial pressure and have to be wise and discerning with how they steward what they have. Which means for those organizations that rely on sales teams to produce results, to grow market share, to bring in, acquire and maintain those revenue streams, ensuring that your front line is absolutely conditioned to look for opportunities, to stay motivated and inspired, to maintain their attitude, is probably one of the most critical soft skills as leaders that we need to ensure we are developing and investing in growing in those frontline teams. A lot of the feedback I've had from various performance coaching sessions with those senior leaders is that those teams are struggling to maintain their attitude, struggling to be self-motivated. And so sales executives and senior sales leaders are having to become petrol pump attendants and constantly keep engaging with teams on the front line from a motivational and maintaining attitude point of view. And that can get very discouraging and quite disruptive when you have to focus on the strategic delivery of what your territory or what your business unit needs to do, and then constantly being distracted by non-performance due to a lack of motivation and being self-driven. And I want to just challenge leaders. It is our responsibility to ensure that we are constantly developing these soft skills within our front lines. I have seen so many faux pas where organizations find technical experts, whether they are in marketing, IT, engineering, manufacturing. They find the best technical experts for the job and for the role, and rely solely on product knowledge and perhaps a little bit of charisma to equip those or that and assume that those salespeople and those sales teams are equipped with all the soft skills that they need to drive the business forward. That's a massive opportunity for growth and development. So many salespeople are great salespeople because they are subject matter experts, and they know, they are so good at what they do and they're so good at what they know. If we then actively and on purpose develop the soft skills around how to stay motivated, how to depersonalize rejection, what it means to work the law of averages, what are those principles in sales specifically that help us navigate negative times. If we are doing that, you take someone who is a subject matter expert, passionate about your product, passionate about your brand, and you 10x their performance, because now we're working holistically with those sales guys. And just the thing that's really stood out for me, so that's kind of my call, or my call to action to senior leaders that have sales teams. It is not enough to know that they have product knowledge. We have to be personally accountable to making sure that our teams have the soft skills that they need, constantly growing, nurturing, and developing those soft skills. Because remember, guys, people change. How people buy, how people search. We've gone from using Google as a search engine to using ChatGPTs and other large language models to do our searches for us. consumer behavior is changing all the time. So if we are not constantly honing how we engage, how we read body language, how we stay motivated, we are going to rely only on product knowledge, and that is not good enough in terms of a differentiator, not in the economy that we are sending these teams out in. And most certainly from a quality of life point of view, sales guys are professional note takers. It is what it is, right? And if we don't equip them with the actual on purpose codified strategies to depersonalize that rejection, we are going to have to step out of strategy and into tactical execution all the time by motivating these teams. Just for this episode, I want to share with you a breakthrough that I've had with a client recently. So, and it speaks specifically to this, maintaining your attitude, being motivated, etc. A lot of organizations lead through KPIs and KPIs alone. So sales guys know exactly what is expected of them. Really great leaders will work with sales teams to break those KPIs down into snackable sprint targets. So if you've got a monthly target, what does it look like for a week, for a day? What are those targets? And then exceptional leaders will tie those daily targets into what are the input requirements that you need in order to manifest that output. I'm a firm believer that all we can do is control and focus on getting really great at the inputs. How many calls, how many knocks on door, how many leads we're working. That is the stuff we can control. The output is absolutely not up to us. If we are constantly, the output is only validating whether or not we're doing our inputs correctly or not. So the output is sales, it's revenue generation, it's market acquisition, all of that kind of stuff. If we are focusing and getting those inputs so laser sharp, the outputs will always come. But if we focus purely on outputs, teams become chaotic, under pressure, feel burnout, it's not fun anymore. Anyway, so I've been working with this team for about 4 to 5 months, and we've gone through the process of taking these big targets. I mean, they've got hundreds of millions of rands that they need to generate in their industry. So breaking that down into snackable, this is a micro target, but also this is the input based on your conversion rate, based on how many clients you see before a sale is made. These are the input requirements for you specifically. And that, guys, you have the sales data, you have the broker performance data or the consultant performance data for however long these people have been with you. So you know what their track records are, you know what their penetration rates are, you know what their conversion rates are. We can absolutely deal with this from a place of knowing and make strategic interventions versus just thumb sucking some sort of target. Anyway, so and getting back to my story, I've been working with them on making sure that they're really clear about what is required of them and how to go about getting it based on each individual, right? Towards the end of last year, this client specifically is in the hospitality industry and in season is huge pressure. Towards the end of the year, a lot of the senior leaders were giving me feedback that they were having to really do attitude check-ins with some of their frontline sales guys. And I could hear how defeating it was for these sales leaders and how, just deflating, I think is the correct word. It was for these sales leaders because they had other responsibilities, training, all of that kind of stuff that still had to happen. And then you think you've got someone sorted out and then they are blowing because of attitude. And then I had a moment of realization. We needed to go back down to basics, right? The only way to really get someone to self-motivate is to help them connect with their why, especially in sales. Sales is so emotional. It takes so much of you every time you're picking up a phone or knocking on a door or sending out another email. The amount of self-motivation that you need to do, guys, I've got 2 decades in sales, right? I know what I'm talking about. I'm the cold call queen. To constantly have to remotivate yourself, especially after a bad call or a deal blowing or something like that. It takes so much. If we are not making sure that our teams are connecting with their why, what is your reason for being here? What is your reason for driving so hard? What is your reason for being in sales and not being in accounting? Because generally salespeople are there because they want control over their income and they want to create that wealth for themselves, right? What is your why? So we went through a simple process with this client, and we helped those individuals connect with their why. We actually shut down for a day. Well, it was on the last working day of their year last year. They took a moment and they took a step back, and each salesperson went through a process of identifying specifically what it is they're going after in 2025 from a personal point of view. At that level, is it because you're trying to invest in a new home? Is it you want to send your kids to a great university? What is your why? For taking the pain, for being a professional rejection taker. Why are you doing this? Tell me, right? And it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. The results have been incredible in just a short time back. The team created dream charts and vision boards, and that's up in their environment, and they have it with them when they're seeing clients. And hitting the deck this year, it's a different atmosphere. They are motivated. The senior leaders are telling me that the guys who were struggling to motivate themselves are now doing the extra work required to meet those goals. So if, for instance, your goal was to buy a car, let's make that realistic. By March, you need to have saved for a deposit for the car. And if you want to save for the deposit for the car, how many sales do you need to make, or what commission do you need to write? What does that look like for you? And then, okay, based on your conversion rate, based on your how effective you are, what inputs do you need to recalibrate? Do you need to be at work a half an hour earlier? Do you need to drive through lunch to see more clients? Do you need to get your hands on a database and start doing some cold calling? What does it look like for you to get to that why? And the level of self-motivation that has been unlocked was so encouraging for me, because we often forget to go back down to basics. I know personally, I run away with myself, and I can do 1,000 things, and I can do 1,000 things well. And often in that pursuit of the new and the innovative and the fun, I kind of forget to do the basics. And so really working with teams to go back to basics, to connect with their why in a very tangible, very meaningful way, and then taking that and helping them distill that to, well, what does this look like from a business point of view? What do I need to achieve here to unlock this thing that I really want to go after? And then taking that back down to saying, okay, on the daily, what do I need to do? What is it within my control? What are the inputs that I can control to unlock that revenue, and so unlock my why? And this is one of the 1,000 strategies and tools and frameworks that I have worked with teams over and over and over again, dealing with the soft skills. I think anyone can learn a product, and anyone can learn the product well. And I truly, truly believe that if we're equipping human beings with these kinds of soft skills, it makes all the difference to the energy, the momentum, and the atmosphere in your organization, but also to the sense of ownership that your people have over their destiny, because you have done the hard work as a leader of helping them connect to the vision. Whether it's their personal vision that sits within yours, you help them make that connection. And that is where your 80% is done. You can now sit back, and if there is a lack in performance, if there is a lack in attitude, if there is a behavioral issue, come and tell me about your dreams. Tell me about those dreams that you defined. What were those, the 6 months, the 3 months, the 1 year? What were those goals that we set together in the beginning of the year? Tell me. And you get them to reconnect with the why. And then you can have the conversation to say, in the light of everything you've just said to me, how do you think your current performance is setting you up for success to achieve this goal? And that self-assessment, that stuff is where the magic happens, guys. I'm so excited about this year. If you are a sales leader, if you are a manager, if you are working with teams who are professional note takers and you have to deal with rejection all the time, just take a minute and identify how to help them connect with a why. That is going to seriously remove so much stress and frustration from you, equip them to have a better quality life at work, because they can now connect with, why am I taking so much rejection, and do it with like absolute joy and all of the above. So I wanted to share that with you. I think that there is still so much to unpack. Unlocking potential in teams and organizations is something I'm really passionate about, and I'm going to double down on in this year. And so I'm keen to share some of those lessons with you as I go along. Until next week, you guys have the most incredible time. Love you madly.